That's a funny story.
Yeah.
And then you brought up those 4 years where you guys went back to back to back. How many state championships do you have?
We have three. So Santa Fe South has lost 4 and won 3. So we've been to
Lost
7.
4.
Yeah.
Dang.
So we lost in 06. We won in 2009. We lost in 12, 13. And then we won in 14, 15. And then we lost in 17.
How was it the first time you guys won? Like,
So in 2009, we played Cassia Hall, who had won 3 straight. So this was their 4th. A bunch of them were seniors.
4A.
In 4A. In 2006, we played Cassia Hall, and we were 5A. There was no 4A in 2006. They started a 4A. Cassia Hall was 4A. We were 4A. They had won 3 straight. We are playing them at Mustang High School. 0-0 at halftime. They come out and scored a goal on us, and we start kind of like unraveling a little bit, and then we're like, we have Santiago, up there. They have like 3 guys on Santiago because they're not going to let Santiago beat them.
he was such a big name
Yeah.
back in the day.
And then David Olivas, who's little short
Small
David
freshman.
Olivas. Yeah,
I was at that game.
Yeah,
I was at that
He
game. How
little
was that
little
game?
tiny. I think he was a freshman or sophomore. Who just works his tail off. Would never stop.
Putting his body on
Yeah.
the line.
Wins 2 headers. He's one of the shortest guys on the field. Wins 2 headers and scores 2 goals in the state championship. Santiago thinks he had a horrible game, and I said, well, because those 3 guys were on you the whole time is why this guy was able to score. We won 2-1, and the girls' coach at the time, Lonnie James, who used to coach at Carl Albert after he left Santa Fe, said, "You finally did it. Congratulations. Welcome to the club." He'd won some championships at Bishop McGuinness back in the day. He's like, "Welcome to the club. Congratulations," and stuff like that. And it was, the one thing I can remember is all the kids that graduated before that were like ran down in the field and were just ecstatic. All the 05, 06, 07, 08 guys that graduated just run down in the field and they're going crazy celebrating with the team, just as much as the team was celebrating. So
I think the whole city as a
yeah,
whole
it was
celebrated. All
great.
South Side was
all the
celebrated.
kids had their heads shaved. They all had mohawks before the
Yeah,
game,
yeah,
except for
yeah.
one that had cornrows. But everybody shaved their heads, and it was a great time for Santa Fe South.
And then you went on a span where you won it back to back. Like, how was that?
So in 12 and 13, in 2012, we played Mount St. Mary's. We're up 1-0 with 18 seconds left, and we give up a free kick from about the halfway line. They dump a ball into the box. It hits a bunch of bodies, and they kick it in. So we
Terrible.
So we go to overtime. We lose in overtime. On bar hits a crossbar, and the guy heads it in. So we lose that game after being up 1-0 with 18 seconds left. So that's a heartbreaker anyway to a Southside, another
Yeah.
Southside school basically in Mount
Down
St.
the
Mary's.
street, knowing that you could have won.
Yeah, and so that was brutal. In 2013, we played Poto in University of Tulsa.
Okay.
Worst thing about that game is we showed up 3 minutes before the game started.
Why?
We're on an Oklahoma City school bus, and there was an accident on the turnpike going up the University of Tulsa.
Man.
So we're stuck, and we had to get off at like a street light and like run into the stadium. We didn't even get to the stadium.
And there isn't anything that they could have done for you guys considering the
They gave us
circumstances?
like I think 5 or 6 minutes additional warm up
That's
time,
terrible.
but there was a game going to be played right after ours,
Oh,
the next
that's
classification.
true.
So they were trying to keep everything online. So we said, let's just play it. And we started out amazing. We scored a goal in like the first 6 minutes, and we thought that we were like doing really well. And then it just.
Sorry, I laugh because I can imagine as a player and as a coach all this built-up energy. So the other team is assuming that they're going to show up and just going to be like, no, we're going to get them on their heels. No, these guys have this like they didn't think they were going to play, and then when they got on the field, it was just like you lit a match under their behind, and they're just gone.
And maybe it was better because we didn't have a lot of time to think about it during the warm-ups. So we just went out there and boom, 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 get your shin guards on, get your cleats
This
on,
is
let's
a
go.
final? State
This is
final?
a state final on the University of Tulsa field. So that game goes 3-3 to overtime. And then we get scored on like 4-3 in overtime. They had a stud guy, a left-footed guy that played at Tulsa's soccer club for Poto, and that guy, scored a goal that just barely skipped in on Nazareth Hernandez.
Wow.
That was our goalie.
Naz. Shout out to
Naz. Shout out to Naz. And so we lost that game 4-3, and they scored 4 goals on five mistakes. Like we made 5 mistakes, they scored 4 goals off of them. And we put away most of our chances and dominated the entire game, and so that was frustrating. And so that next year we were like, "There's no way this is going to happen. Like, there's just no way." And we lost 1 game that next year, and we came out and just destroyed everybody. And then we played Southeast in the final
That was huge too.
at the University of Oklahoma and on their soccer field and beat them 2-0. And that was just there was so much better about that game because it was Southeast. It was Southside. It was at OU.
That's what I was going to mention. That was already a win for people here in the city.
Yeah, it was everything about it. There was 2 Southside schools that were it was in the championships. That was good. There was nobody from Tulsa representing it, or nobody outside the city. So that put everybody on the map, which was good. We beat Southeast, which is sort of a little rival to us. And then just playing it at OU was just kind of fun. It was in the middle of the day. For me, it held a very personal game. That was the last game my dad was able to watch me coach before he passed. So that game like held that for me as well. So that 2015 championship or 2014 championship was just there. And then the 2015, those seniors were like, we might as well go out on top. Like they were all just like, they were hungry, and we'd had some other players by then, and we just dominated that whole year. I think we lost 2 games that year, and we beat Clinton in the final.
That was at
That was in Newcastle.
Yeah.
The downside of that game is we couldn't celebrate because there was like a tornado coming or something.
It was windy that day.
They said we couldn't celebrate. There was like, hey guys, there's a tornado coming. We need you off the field like now. Like we had just gotten the trophy and trying to take pictures and stuff, and they were trying to get us out of the stadium and on the buses and out of there. So
I feel like soccer just gets the short end of the stick a lot of times. Do you feel that way too?
Yeah, I do sometimes. I mean, we're Oklahoma. I mean, we know it's a football state. I mean, for the most part, and a basketball state.
Definitely is a football state.
Yeah. So, I mean, that is what it is. I think we're making, like, headway with some of that stuff, but it's still going to be difficult to get over that.
One of my biggest gripes is that we always – I mean, it seems to be